Everyone, get started. All right. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Rusty Robinson.
Here.
Robert Thayer.
Here. All right. All members are present, so we can conduct business today. At this time, we'll go on to invocation with Pastor Chad Fagundes. Welcome, Pastor.
You guys would stand with me and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we pause this morning to honor your name. We know, Father, that you're omnipresent. You're everywhere all at once. But God, we ask you specifically, would you manifest yourself here? Would you manifest your presence here? Would you guide and direct? Would you bring wisdom and discernment? God, we pray, Father, just a blessing over the Kings County. We know, Father, that things sometimes hit challenges, God. And I just pray, Father, that you would pour your blessing upon the residents of the Kings County. God, give the leaders today, Father, the right direction, the right insight, the right wisdom. And so we thank you for being good, and we continue to pray for your goodness to be over the Kings County. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Please join me as we salute our nation's flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll move on to unscheduled appearances. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on items of interest within the board's jurisdiction and which are not already on the agenda. The board will not answer questions impromptu, and concerns or complaints will be referred to appropriate staff. For items which are on the agenda, members of the public will be provided with an opportunity to address the board as each item is brought up for discussion. Speakers should limit their comments to not more than 2 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence or anyone online?
We received written comments from Yvette Chides, Villarreal, and Celeste Van Evenhoven. Those will become part of the permanent record. Our first speaker card is Alex Walker.
Good morning, Mr. Walker. AKA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good morning. Alex C. Walker taking a quick break to share the wonderful news from the Lemoore Chamber of Commerce as well as the Rotary Club of Lemoore. First, starting off this past Friday, we celebrated our 63rd annual Installation Awards Dinner. I want to give a personal thanks to Supervisor Nevs and Verboon for being there, not just as chamber members, but as critical parts of our program. Supervisor Nevs gave a beautiful prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and Supervisor Verboon graciously inducted this year's Board of Directors, which I have the pleasure of serving on. In addition to that, we honored our outstanding community. There truly is nothing like the people of Lemoore, and the people are what build our business community and community at large alike. On the Rotary Club of Lemoore side, I believe I gave it to everybody at this point, but we had some challenge coins for you. So just wanted to extend our appreciation to you and the Board of Supervisors for your continued support for our club. And hopefully it's an incentive to come to the next trophy, which will be coming up in November. But outside of that, and it's an incredible fundraiser, we're getting ready for our Guatemala trip. We're going to be delivering over 2,000 pounds of vitamins, supplies, etc. And we're also going to be working on our existing water infrastructure project. And this is in collaboration with other Rotary clubs like the Rotary Club of Hanford. And the Rotary Club of Lemoore also has the great pleasure of being one of the sponsors for Youth and County Government Day, which is a personal point of pride for me as a former participant in that program back in 2016. Can you believe it? I was just as tall. Anyway, there's so much good happening in our community. Lemoore, Rotary, and the Chamber are excited for what 2026 has for us and the community alike. And we just hope that you and the board continue to be a part of that. Thank you. Goodbye. You going to? I will not be going to Guatemala this year because I'm getting married And I'll have to get a new passport too. But it is one of my personal bucket list items to participate in numerous peace missions for the Rotary Club of Lemoore.
Take a stick and tie it on with a rope. Well, they did the water project and it hurt in the mirror. Area.
It truly is something remarkable, and we'll be making updates to our website in the very near future to show some of the videos, because it's not just medicine and water. We also do wheelchairs. We do so much good for the world, because the mission of the Rotary Club of Lemoore is literacy for Lemoore, water for the world, and you'll be able to learn more about that on our club's website, social media, but also just come talk to your friendly local Rotarian. We want to share our story with you because we're people of action.
Thank you for the good work of Rotary.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? No? All right. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Item A, report out of closed session from the regular meeting for January 27, 2026. Madam Council,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is nothing to report.
nothing to report. So item B, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting for January 27, 2026. I'll entertain a motion. Supervisor Verboen, Supervisor Thayer, Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
All right. Item passes. Next is the consent calendar. I'll entertain a motion. Well, for starters, do we have any questions from the public on the consent calendar? Any questions from supervisors? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
The movement, Chair.
All right, Supervisor Neves,
Thank you.
Supervisor Thayer, Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
All right, on to the regular calendar. So we'll go Public Works. Who's presenting today? Mitchell, Chuck? Mitchell. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mitchell Cabrera, Chief Engineer with the Public Works Department. Before your board this morning with the first item, which is request for approval to change order number 9 with Ardent General for the construction of the fire station number 5, a partial remodel project in Armona. This was the project consisting of the expansion of the living quarters, apparatus bay, and reconstruction of the parking lot, as well as new walkways. Construction began April of 2024 with several unforeseen conditions and circumstances extending construction. Some of those conditions were the discovering of termites on the building, which led to the removal of asbestos and abatement of the entire building as opposed to localized sections, and then treating for termites and replacing the damaged members. Also changes to the sewer layout due to as-built plans or plans that we currently had not accurately depicting the locations of these lines, as well as relocation of fiber optic lines, replacing and improving areas previously anticipated to remain in place or that weren't originally going to be impacted by the remodel were also included. The construction total is at 3.2 million total construction cost. This change order number 9, is for $24,211.77. Change order 9 includes patching of an air vent above the gas meter, a fuel tank e-stop replacement because the current one wasn't working with the new equipment, replacing hardware in an existing restroom, which originally was not going to be part of the project, but given the old age and deterioration, it was included. Gas line trenching for the gas company. Part of the work included a new gas meter and a line being installed. Having the contractor do the trenching for the gas company was cheaper than having to pay the gas company to do that work. Additional smoke detectors at the request of the fire department and the building official through the punch list and inspections. And then brick installation on the exterior planter wall around the building. Part of that work was done by county forces to reduce this cost, and the rest will be split by the contractor and or county staff. So contractor is currently working on these final punch list items, which are anticipated to be completed before the end of this month. So pretty soon we'll also have a notice of completion for the project before your board. The request at this time is to approve change order number 9 for $24,211. So we can kind of wrap up this project. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
I heard that, Mitchell. Last change order. We should be done by the end of the month, right?
That's the goal for
Ramona is
everyone.
ready
involved.
for its fire station to be back up and going. All right, very good. Any questions from the audience? Question.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick comment. The staff report says the change order is 24,505. So if it is 24,211, we just need to correct that for the record.
I'll entertain well, for starters, do we have any comment or questions from supervisors?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out that brings the change orders up to a little over $500,000. And it's about 15% of the project. And that's a little bit out of filter. And I realize the extra addition with the termite damage and some of the other stuff, but I think sometimes when we use this contractor, we're going to have to up the contingencies at 20% because he gets used to that.
One of the early factors for this project that kind of bumped up the change orders was not having prior to construction where existing fire department staff was going to go. That really bumped up our change orders more than we would like to see on a project like this.
And can we go after I don't remember who did the architecture.
Well, we have been working with the architect. They have essentially eaten some of the cost due to some of the items that were essentially design fault. But the ones noted on here, as-built plans are plans that we had in the county depicting sewer lines that weren't in the correct spot.
That's my only comment. When you get a project that goes 15% change order.
Yeah, 9 change orders. That is a lot. All right, real good. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion with the amendment as stated. Supervisor Verboen, do I have a second? Supervisor Thayer, Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Deborah Boone.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Second item.
All right, so we'll move on to Public Works on the 16th Avenue at Tulare Lake Canal Bridge replacement.
All right. Before your board this morning, now with a amendment to a consultant contract. This is for the 16th bridge replacement, 16th Avenue Bridge replacement. This is amendment number 3. Originally, the contract was awarded in 2013 to Quincy Engineering, which has since then changed to Consort North America. This is the 3rd amendment to the agreement. Amendment 1 back in 2019 was for environmental permitting. Amendment 2 in 2022 was to finish environmental permits, revalidating the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, and updating plans to current Caltrans standards. The project was put out to bid, canceled, and then due to access to the channel and the 2023 flood conditions, we had to postpone the project, and we were finally able to start September of last year. This amendment is retroactive from September of last year, given the fact that we had a construction window from September to February, and that was reduced by the irrigation company wanting water by the 1st or 2nd week of December. So that kind of cut us down 2 months. So we had to start September in order to finish the project on time. This amendment allowed the consultant to review submittals for material to be used on the project, answer any requests for informations, any change orders, evaluate that information, as well as provide construction and engineering support. And they will also prepare the final as-builts for the project once we are complete. Work should be wrapping up this week. So we should also be bringing a notice of completion for that project here pretty soon. The request is to approve the 3rd amendment with Consort North America. This amount for the amendment is $20,000. So be happy to answer any questions if he has.
Any questions for me? Any comments? How about from the public? Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I have another comment. So the amount is 20,707. So we could just make that amendment for the record.
Okay. 20,707. So I'll entertain a motion as amended.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Nevs.
Second.
Supervisor Verboen, Madam Clerk.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley, Deborah Boone.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alex C., welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alex C. Walker, Administrative Analyst, Kings County Administration. Before you this morning is a proclamation declaring February 2026 as Black History Month in Kings County. We do have a presentation. If my colleagues can please put it on the screen. I have the great pleasure of inviting Paula Massey with Women with Visions Unlimited, Inc. to share a presentation with the board regarding Black History Month and specific Black history in Kings County. The resolution before you has been reviewed by County Council and approved as before, and the recommended action is to adopt a resolution proclaiming February 2026 as Black History Month in Kings County. At this time, I now respectfully pass the floor to Ms. Massey.
Morning, Paula. How are you today?
I'm here.
You're here?
I'm here.
Thank you
I'm
for your
doing good.
presentation today. We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for all the people who are going to be listening to me. Who are we? Women with Visions Unlimited. In 2007, an idea was conceived out of a desire to see women network with each other in the small business community. Along with this desire was a need not only to network, but to form a bond between women that would strengthen the family unit in our community. Therefore, Women with Visions Unlimited was birthed into existence. How did we get here? I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got here. The migrant history. When I talk about how we got here and how did most of the Black people in this community get here in Kings County. And it was during a migration. During the Dust Bowl, many Black families lived and worked on farms in Oklahoma, especially Idabel, Oklahoma. We have a lot of them here. And Arkansas, Texas, and other areas where there was no longer any work for them. There were farmers who owned labor camps in the Kings County area. They recruited these families to come to California, where there was plenty of work. Some families packed up what they could, and others came with nothing but the clothes on their backs. The pictures that you will see are from Red's Camp that was located off of 41 Freeway. The long blue house that you're going to see is called the Big House, and it housed large families. Many families were able to save money and buy homes or land after living on these camps for a few years. Next. As you can see the map, you can see where Oklahoma is right above Texas. And then you have Arkansas. And then you have some came from Louisiana, some came from Georgia, and all the way they had to travel to California to get to where they needed to be here in Kings County. Next slide. I got my papers out of order. Okay. The Dust Bowl of 1930s during the Great Depression, the migration to the West Coast. The people who came, they picked cotton, they picked grapes, they picked fruits and vegetables. The labor camps that were available for our people to work at were Red's Camp off of 41 Freeway, Gus Irons Camp in Stratford, Squires Camp in Stratford, Evan Jones Camp on Fargo and Lemoore, Peter Gunn's Camp on Fremont and Lemoore, Murray's Ranch Camp, and the Devil's Den. But with the invention of the machinery on the rise, there was little need for workers. Many of the families saved money to eventually purchase their homes and then began to own businesses. And a lot of families moved to the south side of Hanford, southeast side, close to Home Garden in those areas there, and they bought homes there. Churches started out in that area in the homes. Next, okay. So you see the house, the big, that big old tall thing right there. I used to ride down 41 all the time and say, what is that? Who has that in their yard? And this was a place where, right on Red's Camp. And if you go to the next screen, that is the blue house. That was called the Big House. There are families that live right here in town. You know them, the Petite families, the Young families. They lived in those houses. Those were big families, and they lived in the house and they worked in the fields. So, but I always wondered what that big thing was. I always wondered what that was. Next. Here you can see when the machinery came in. This is a picture of Elder Thomas out of Lemoore. his son and him picking cotton and working in the fields on the tractors. Now we're going to go to another, if you flip the screen. Now we're going to come to another thing that Kings County's first. Um, I am so proud and happy that the next slides that you will see will present residences of Kings County that held key positions in the community. So the first one is Mr. and Mrs. Welcher. They were the first Black family to settle in Hanford. This is out of the newspaper. I didn't come up with this, okay? Mr. Welcher, he, as a matter of fact, first, both of them were guests at the 46th annual Kings County Homecoming. Mr. Welcher, he was 88 years old. He filed, at the time of this printing, he's followed 19 years operation of a service station in a garage at 115 West H Street. Do y'all know where that is? In Hanford. Do you know where that is? Where's that at? Actually, yeah, when I look it up, it's like the parking lot of Golden One Credit Union. Yeah, the Golden One Credit Union. That's where. Now, the one thing that I've heard from his church and from different people that he owned that station. He owned it, but because of being a Black man, he couldn't run it. So he had a friend who was a white gentleman who ran it for him. He did the work, but as long as he was a Black man in front, probably wouldn't get any business. Yeah. So, he was the first Black person to graduate from Hanford High School. And Mrs. Welcher, she served on the county elections board for 30 years. Next, Mr. W.C. Palmer. You know that one, Mr. Neves, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. And Maggie Palmer, they were the grand marshals for the first Kings County parade. And this man had horses, beautiful horses, and he loved to ride them. Loved to ride them. Next, Chris Jordan, Kings County first Black sheriff. And this was very important to me to see a Black man working in Kings County as a Black sheriff. Thank you. Next. These are some of our people who held offices in Kings County. Pat Nolan, Patricia Nolan, she was first Black mayor of Corcoran. Next. Kathy Willis. She was the first Black city councilwoman in Hanford. And this picture was taken at Women with Visions Unlimited office on 8th Street at our reception. We wanted to be able to honor her as being the first Black woman city council of Hanford. So we honor her with that, with an award and a reception. Next is Edward Neal, first Black city council member of Lemoore, California. We have a lot of firsts here. Did y'all know that we have a lot of firsts here? And I'm so happy that we have the first. And he's the first Black city council member of Lemoore. He went through a lot of struggles getting that position. A lot of struggles from the community, a lot of struggles from his family, because they didn't think that he was qualified to do this. But he held to his calling, and he did it, and I'm proud of him. I knew him when he was like this. Okay. Dr. Natalie Rencher, the first African-American director of Kings County. And I didn't know that she was our director until I went to go meet her in her office. And we collaborated together with working with literacy during the pandemic with the communities. And now we have our first Black bank tellers. You'll see Yvonne Hicks Lewis. She was from Hanford. Judy McCarthy Winston, a lot of you know her. And Judy Horn, I know y'all know her. Judy Horn is very important in our community. She lived in it was Home Garden she lived in. And I remember I used to come to these meetings, and she would sit right there with a gentleman, older white gentleman. And when she would come, when she had something to say, it was yeah, 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 yeah. Joe, you know, you had to calm down, calm her down, calm her down. But I'm gonna tell you what, she got what she wanted. In Home Garden, we now have benches where people could sit on the bench to wait for the bus, because back then people would have to walk from Home Garden to the rehab place to catch a bus over there to go to the hospital or go to the doctors. But she made it where now we have a clinic in Home Garden. And I would like to see her picture up there, but that's up to you guys. Kings County, a Black School Board members, Dr. Crystal Jackson, West Hills Community College Board Trustee, Area 4. Maury Shackelford, Lakeside Elementary School Board. Dr. Paula Massey, Hanford Joint Union High School. Dr. Gail Crooms, Lemoore Elementary. Maisha Neal, Eddie Neal's wife, Lemoore Elementary School. May she rest in peace. Judy Horn, former Lakeside Elementary School Direct Board Member. Fred Wills, Hanford Elementary School District Member. And Ricky Simmons, former Hanford Joint Union High School Trustee. You could turn the page. And now we're going to be talking a little about this gentleman here, Mr. Tommy Smith, 1968 track Olympian from Lemoore, California. His family was one of the families that came during the Dust Bowl. They lived out in Lemoore. And when I talked to his sister before she passed away, she told me a lot of the things, Gladys told me a lot of the things that they had to go through living there, especially after the Olympics and all the things that would happen to them. But, you know, they're continuing on. They're continuing on with Ernie Smith, his brother. And I wanted to, if you could flip over to the next one. They were telling me that there was a plaque for him at Lemoore High School. So I went over there, I'm looking, and I found this plaque here. And it says Lemoore High School graduate. I look at my paper. 1968 to 1968, 200-meter Olympic gold medalist, holder of 11 world records. This was dedicated to the school and him, April 19, 2007. No, 1997, I'm sorry. 1997.
And his dad said he was faster than him.
Oh, really? Well, probably because he had to catch up with him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did you believe that?
What Mr. Smith said. I believed him.
And Ernie said he was faster than him. No, he wasn't. Yeah. Okay. Who's going to take that? Who's going to take that on the
What
track?
goes with those comments is Mr. Smith, probably until the year he died, he could still do a handstand.
Oh,
He would
yeah.
pop
Oh,
up.
then he probably could.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know him. I didn't know the dad.
And he chased down chickens.
Yeah,
He
he's
said
fast.
he'd chase a chicken and feel it, and if it was ready, he'd go on to the next one.
Yeah, no, strong man. And
Wow.
I was at this dedication ceremony.
Yeah.
The night you was there.
Right.
One of the things that well, his performance is impressive, but that night, remember they played the footage on the screen. You know who called that race when he won it, when he came from behind and he won that gold medal? Howard Cosell was calling it.
Wow. That's something I didn't write that down. I didn't know that. That's good. Howard Cosell. And our last page, you know what? There's always a happening place in Hanford. There's a happening place for everybody, whether you belong to a club, whether you belong to just a group of women, a group of men that just hang out. But this was the happening place. And I said, if Brown Street could talk, whew, all the messages they would tell, all the stories they would tell. But we always had a place. And in this place, it was owned by McKinley Minter, his wife Clara Minter, and they actually owned property out here on Brown Street. They had a club where people would go and dance, listen to music. They would bring in, it was a chitlin circuit. I mean, you remember the chitlin for circuit. So a lot of people would come through the chitlin circuit and they would play here. There was also a place where they could rent rooms out to people who needed a place to stay. And they also owned the cafe. Down at the bottom on your left-hand side, that was a place where people could go and eat. Mr. Smiley here, he was telling me that his mom would send him to go get so many pounds of ground beef so they could make hamburgers because she made her hamburgers from scratch. There was no such thing as patties then, unless you patted with your hand. So this is the end of our presentation. I just want to let you know there's a lot of first here in Kings County. There's a lot of families here in Kings County. When I did the Black History of Kings County at the museum, at the Carnegie Museum, I didn't realize how many people were actually related, were actually related to each other. And I had to ask the question when they would come into the museum to see everything that I had up there. They would say, "Oh, I'm from Ida Bell, Oklahoma. Yeah, that's where I'm from." I said, "Did y'all leave anybody in Ida Bell? Did y'all leave any?" Because we have a lot of families here. So there's more to our Kings County. There's a whole lot more things that I could have spoken about. But this is what I want to let you know, that we are present, we are moving forward, and with your help and your support, when we come to you, we'll move even further to bless this community. That's why we're here, to help our community, to help other Black people, help our young boys and girls and women and men, students. We were working at the school as a BSU advisors, me and Carolyn Hudgens with our organization. And it was wonderful. We just love to see more of that happen at the school levels and allowing more families to come on board and to be present in this community. That's our mission, to do it, to help our young people and help our families to meet the needs that they have. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Any questions?
I have a question before you go down. So Mr. Smiley, is that Mike Smiley's dad?
No, I don't know his father, but his mom, he was telling me the story that his mom worked in the worked at the cafe. What is it, Michael Smiley? Michael Smiley. I don't know who his dad is, but Michael Smiley. He used to work at the juvenile probation office. Yeah.
I used to work, or actually, she worked for my grandfather, Evelyn Smiley, Mike's wife.
Yeah.
And wonderful people.
Yes, they are.
And you weren't joking about Judy Horn. She was the unofficial mayor of Southside. And I used to be the downtown president. And I'll tell you what, she would call me and give me an earful. And she always got what she wanted.
Yeah, that was the one. I would see, but when I first came here, I came here in '83 through the military. My husband was in the military. And you go down Lacey Boulevard and you see the KCAO building, which is now, the behavioral health building. And I would see these women. She would always walking across that street, getting ready to go to that KCAO building with a clipboard on her hand. Always walking. Her, it was Wanda Williams Hinton, a few other people. I've always seen them working, always see them doing things in the community. And I said, wow, but who would have known that Women with Visions Unlimited would have stepped up and stepped into that place where they no longer can stand up for themselves there. So we just love it being here today, to sharing with you what we have, what I've learned about this community, and thank you.
Thank you for the history lesson.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
sir.
may make a comment.
Please.
I'd just like to add, I'd also like to thank the women for being here this morning. It's important to have your presence. Thank you for the presentation that added, and maybe we could build on that next year, and let's see who we could work together to bring down some of the first that you mentioned. Obviously, many have passed, but there's some still a lot. But I know Sue Neves and I, we know Mr. Smith's sister, Liz. She's still around. Gladys, rest in peace. But a good friend of mine as well. Worked with her 4 years at the for the Indian Gaming Commission here at the Tachi. And she did share a lot of those stories, and behind her brothers and him winning the gold medal and coming home and thinking that there's going to be a lot of positivity back home, but came back home to bomb threats in their mailboxes and threats on the whole family. And when he came around and got that award, it was almost like a vindication when Kings County or back home finally recognized his efforts. When for a lot of years he was villainized for those actions that he took. People didn't take the time to study the meaning behind him on that stand with his fist in the air and what that represented. And but maybe we could work to invite him, and maybe we have Mr. Smith here next year We know he does a lot of positive public speaking at universities, and it'd be great to bring him back here. But thank you for all of that. Judy Horn, let's not forget though, too. She built political equity.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just calling people and getting on the phone. She invested in candidates for office. She'd go door to door and build that equity where she was able to go and ask. And I know that from when I was a young staffer for Assemblywoman Nicole Parra back in 2003. Judy was in our office a lot in that downtown state assembly district office. And so I got to work with her a lot. She was one of the first people we worked with to bring Operation Gobble to Home Garden. And her presence is missed as far as a voice for the neighborhood. I represent Home Garden since 2010 proudly. And we do need that voice there. And then lastly with this, for all the firsts, right? You know, there's only been one woman elected to ever sit up here on the Board of Supervisors.
Yes.
And imagine imagine that being an African-American one.
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chen.
One name I also like to throw in there is Dr. Charles Blayton. You know, my understanding is he was on President Reagan's cabinet, and he came from Hanford, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. All right. Any other questions or comments from supervisors? All right. Do we have any from the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
So move it, Chair.
All right. Supervisor Verboen and Supervisor Neves. All right, Madam Clerk.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Yes.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you for that. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Assistant CEO, Kings County Administration. Just here before your board this morning to wrap up the adoption of our federal and state legislative platform. So staff were before your board last week to give you a little in-depth analysis as to what changes were implemented and any other further direction that your board had for adoption this week. So the platform that you have before you, and that is printed in our agenda packet, is the same that was presented last week with one minor edit based off of board comments last week on the dais. We did go ahead and add a sixth priority on both the state and federal side to account for energy. So other than that, all other content remains unchanged. And with that, I just open this up. My apologies here. That actually concludes everything I have for you this morning. And so we're just asking for approval of the state and federal legislative platform for the calendar year of 2026. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for Matt?
No questions, but thank you. I know I emailed you and I think Alex.
Yes.
Doing a control F on my computer was easier to find.
Sure.
Those bullet points on energy but thank you for adding it number 6 on there. Just I think that when you look at this page and people do that, they're not going to necessarily read all the contents within it, but at least they can see that energy is important to this board. So thank you for doing that. And Alex.
Yes.
Real good. Other questions? Okay. Any questions from the public? All right.
We do have, I bet.
Good morning, Yvette.
Good morning. My name is Yvette Chavez Villarreal. I'm the Civic Engagement Program Director at Valley Voices. First and foremost, good morning, Chair and members of the board. I want to begin first by thanking you for the changes made to the immigration portion of the county's 2025 legislative platform. Those updates send an important message to our immigrant communities that Kings County sees them, values them, and understands their essential role in our local economy, families, and future. As you consider the 2026 legislative platform and priorities, I urge you to meet the moment we are in. Immigrant families in Kings County are living with heightened fear and uncertainty. Fear of family separation, fear of accessing services, and fear of simply going about their daily lives. These are our neighbors, our ag workers, caregivers, small business owners, the Kings County workforce, and the parents of children in our schools. During your review of the 2025 legislative platform, the board acknowledged the role immigration plays in Kings County's workforce, economy, and overall community stability. We appreciate the recognition and respectfully ask that the 2026 platform build on it in a more explicit and proactive way. We urge the county to clearly reaffirm its obligation to uphold the California Constitution and state law, including protections that safeguard civil rights, equal protection, and due process for all residents regardless of immigration status. And should immigration enforcement take place in our communities, we ask the county to take a leadership role in helping verify that due process is being upheld. This includes transparency, adherence to California law, and safeguards to ensure county resources and personal data are not used in ways that violate constitutional or state protections. Local leadership matters deeply in this moment. Immigration is not just a federal issue, it is a local one with real impacts on public trust, public safety, family stability, and the agricultural and economic vitality of Kings County. When residents are afraid to seek services, report crimes, or access healthcare, our entire community is affected. Compassionate policy is not partisan. It is practical, humane, and rooted in values of dignity and fairness.
Almost out of time.
We ask that the 2026 legislative platform continue to reflect those values and clearly stand for the safety, stability, and well-being of all Kings County residents. And lastly, I just thank you for your leadership, for the progress you've already made, and for your willingness to listen. We look forward to dialogue and collaboration to ensure Kings County remains a place where all families can live with dignity and without fear. Gracias.
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Chairman, online we have Nora Zaragoza Yanez.
Nora, can you hear me? We can't hear you yet. Maybe you need to take
Yes,
off the
can
mute
you
button.
hear me?
Now we
you hear
can,
me now?
yes. Welcome.
Hi. So good morning, everyone. My name is Nora Zaragoza Yanez, and I'm the program manager at Faith in the Valley, and I oversee the Valley Watch Network Rapid Response Hotline. Though I submitted the following comments in writing via email, I submit the synopsis of these comments on record using my voice and my virtual presence to begin a deeper conversation and examination of conscience for all of us regarding our farm workers and our community's safety and well-being. As we know, California is the fourth largest economy in the world, thanks to our immigrant community members. For those who work in ag, we owe it to our farm workers who show up under the most extreme weather conditions and command incredible agricultural knowledge that not even textbooks can capture. And we want to make sure that their health and well-being and not the pockets of unscrupulous growers and labor contractors stay at the forefront of legislation. Strengthening H-2A protections involves rigorous enforcement of safety, housing, and wage rules alongside implementing the 2024 Department of Labor Worker Protection Rule. This rule was meant to address longstanding abuses within the H-2A program and give all farm workers crucial protections. Unfortunately, because of opposition from agricultural employers, the entirety of this rule is not in effect and only portions of it will benefit workers. Key actions regarding H-2A protections must include banning retaliation against workers, ensuring pay for delayed start dates, requiring seatbelts in transportation, strengthening recruitment oversight to stop illegal fees, and enabling worker union or legal aid access to employer provided housing. Additionally, as an immigration supportive services provider, I cannot begin to name the numerous households who have called in to
We're
express their
almost out
deep
of
fear.
time now.
And so what I want to let be clear is that state law enforcement officers can arrest federal agents who commit violations of state law within their jurisdiction. And while they might have some protections under the supremacy clause, they do not have absolute immunity from state criminal laws, particularly if they act beyond the scope of their duties or engage in unlawful behavior. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else online? Okay. Last chance. Anyone here? All right. Very good. And I will entertain a motion.
So move.
Supervisor Verboen, Supervisor Thayer. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Veronica Mello, Administrative Analyst at the County Administration Office. As a part of a recent evaluation of county operations, staff is recommending an amendment to Article 6, Chapter 6 of the Kings County Code of Ordinances to update the designation of the Director and Assistant Director of Emergency Services. The proposed amendment would transition the Director of Emergency Services from a member of the Board of Supervisors to the County Fire Chief, and the Assistant Director and the Assistant Director of Emergency Services. The proposed amendment would transition the Director of Emergency Services from a member of the Board of Supervisors to the County Fire Chief and the Assistant Director from a board-appointed designee to the County Executive Officer. The Kings County Office of Emergency Services is currently a division within the County Fire Department, and this change would better align leadership responsibilities with the county's existing operational structure. Kings County adopted the current Director and Assistant Director of Emergency Services Ordinance in 1975 and has not been updated since that time. The ordinance presently states that a member of the Board of Supervisors selected to serve on the Kings Area Disaster Council shall serve as the Director of Emergency Services. And it further establishes the position of Assistant Director of Emergency Services, who is appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Staff's recommendation to transition the director role to the County Fire Chief reflects the development of emergency management practices and promotes greater operational continuity and expertise during emergency response and recovery efforts. This recommended organizational structure is consistent with practices across California counties. Of the 34 counties surveyed, 7 designate the County Fire Chief as the Director of Emergency Services, 12 designate the Sheriff, 6 designate the County Administrator, 4 designate the County Department of Public Health, 3 designate the Director of Emergency Services within a standalone department, 1 assigns a role under General Services, and 1 assigns it under Risk Management. Aligning Kings County with this model reflects current best practices and supports effective emergency services coordination. There is no fiscal impact associated with this recommended ordinance amendment and no impact to the county general fund. Upon adoption by the Board of Supervisors, a summary of the ordinance and the supervisors' votes will be published in the local newspaper and posted to the clerk of the board's website. The ordinance will take effect 30 days following board's approval. With that being said, staff recommends the introduction of an ordinance amending section 6-6 of the Kings County Code of Ordinances to change the Director and Assistant Director of Emergency Services from a member of the Board of Supervisors and designee appointed by the Board of Supervisors to the County Fire Chief as a Director and the County Executive Officer as the Assistant Director of Emergency Services. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Veronica? Do we have any questions from the public? Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
Move it approved and thanks to Doug Matt for his time served and stress.
I give it than take it.
Yeah, what I said. Love
Yeah.
that.
It's easier to give stress than it is to take.
So I have a motion by Supervisor Verboen. Do I have a second?
Wanted to get Susan's opinion. Do you feel this is more of a positive way to go, sir, based on what we've been doing?
Well, it's still going to have input from the board because like 27 years ago when I took the position, it was because of Y2K. And I'm not sure the fire department was any more prepared for Y2K than we were 27 years ago. So it was moving and upgrading the mainframe and then later went on to PCs. And so and about 30% of the things I do involve agriculture. And so whether it's the approval of an insecticide or a pesticide or systemic, and again, I'm not sure the fire department's going to have that bandwidth to be able to handle that, but we're going to have to continue to work with the ag community, the ag commissioner, growers, and figure out how that all works together because it's not all red lights and siren. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done through research and development and economic stability of the county, especially in agriculture, and especially dealing with animal mortality is a health and safety issue. And again, the fire department does a wonderful job. And even when I was active, you know, you have to get horses out of a horse trailer when there's an accident or livestock when you're dealing with stuff. But when you're dealing with animal mortality and it's a pretty large operation, that might be a little bit, again, beyond the capacity of the fire department. But I think working together with the ag commissioner, sheriff's department, cities, I think that's where the cooperative action is going to have to be greater. We've been having aid come as the Office of Emergency Services to the CART operation. Some of the things we did in incorporating in CART to be able to assist the fire department on these hot weather fires because we could show up with a bus that has an air conditioner and have rehab. So I think it's going to be a great change, but I think it's a change that's going to be good, and there'll be 30% of the fire chief's role is going to take the cooperation of other individuals in the county to be able to get the job done.
Thanks for allowing me the time, Mr. Chair, because I think it's worth at least a discussion that as we have the opportunity on the subject, because before our current fire chief was here, I think the last emergency was the flood. And I don't know what everyone's different experiences was, as we dealt with Office of Emergency Services. But the first meeting that I went to across the street and going in that, that new trailer, the one that we voted to buy and had the operations center there going, well, you find out very quickly, the Board of Supervisors, there's not a spot for us there. And we're not welcome there. And, when we have an emergency going on, that was a large part of my district, even though it affected the whole county. To the north, I'm talking mostly about flooding in the lake and what was going on the south side and possible flooding in the city of Corcoran. This is important. If we're not going to be there, then there's no room during lifetime emergency to figure things out. And so we have to have trust and confidence of however we're going to move forward. So, Mike's, again, just going back to my personal experience through the flood, I pretty much operated by myself. I didn't go through Office of Emergency Services to get the governor to Corcoran. That was me reaching out, a campaign to reach out and direct line to his office, and gratefully he can and provided help. But all that being said, I think we need to make sure that this operates smoothly, because again, in lifetime, there's no time for mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Valley. And once again, thank you, Supervisor Neves, for your service. We appreciate it. Any other questions or comments from supervisors? From the public?
27 years. So you guys have advocacies or?
It's hard to believe when I still found the Y2K shirt that we had, and trying to upgrade the mainframe. And the county was a little bit behind because we were still in the mainframe era, and we had not transitioned to the PC world. So we had a couple of hurdles to make, but I still like that mainframe system, but the PC is just so much more dynamic and gives everyone a lot more access, and so everything worked out, but we got it all done in a year and upgraded all of the software plans, and nothing crashed, and I had a granddaughter born, and very good.
Very good. All right. So I think Supervisor Verboen made the motion. Supervisor Valley, was that a second?
So I think the fire chief is looking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Chief.
Good morning, John Chamberlain, County Fire Chief. You're scaring me. 30% of your ag stuff. Not teasing. Obviously, it's all about collaboration and subject matter expertise. I'm not familiar necessarily with 100% of the ag stuff. What I do bring is a breadth of the most disaster-prone county in the nation, previously in San Bernardino. And I can tell you that I've worked both under this circumstance before, being the director of OES, having the manager report directly to me, as well as working in another system where it was a board of supervisors. Supervisor Valley, I apologize if that was your experience related to it. You have my assurance that my phone is always on. You guys know that. So if there's something that you have that's a problem directly related to an event that's going on in your district, please reach out directly related to a disaster. What I would rely on you is your political acumen and basically reaching out. We're going to have the network through Cal OES and even FEMA to some level, but your ability to reach out and pull those strings of your counterparts is what makes us successful on the back end of it. As long as we're all working in collaboration, we can actually streamline this and make it more efficient. So that's the only comments I do have with it. And I appreciate the opportunity should you choose to move forward.
Very good.
Thank
you, Chief, for those comments.
I think that was one advantage that I kind of had over, and I've been in, volunteer fireman in the whole operation, that you follow a strict set of guidelines and protocols. And what's nice being an elected official, I can make my own rules. And that when we changed a lot of the way animal mortality was handled, just working through the federal agencies and the state veterinarians. So I certainly appreciate the structure, but I think, again, this board's going to have the flexibility to be able to do. Of course, my son worked for USDA, and that kind of helped getting a lot of those mortality policies in place and made it a lot easier. But there were a lot of times we stepped way outside the box and way outside the framework that was driven, mainly because of the ability to get things done and to get things done efficiently. So, thank you.
Supervisor Valley, you look like you want to talk.
Chief, maybe if this moves forward, what we could do is plan some kind of not a long day of training, but maybe some kind of a sit down where we as a board, at least for those who don't know, including me, why we operate the way we operate during a time of emergency or what we can expect. Because even though I say there's not a spot for us, there's probably a positive reason why there's not a spot for us. And, electeds maybe adding a voice in that's going against the collaborative of all the department heads. I mean, it was organized. I walked in, I saw everyone with their own jacket, color coded, and their names on the back. And I was like, where's mine? They're like, you ain't supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be. In emergency, it's my instinct to be there.
Sure.
But
the intent, and just to give you a basic level thing, the intent is for you to provide leaders' intent, specifically is what you're looking for. And my job is to advise you on policy on the back end, how that's going to interact, and literally within the legal parameters we have, and then work around that and see where we can fit everything in to meet your intent. And
let's do that before there's no emergency.
Absolutely. I fully agree.
I don't need to take up your time for my education.
Nope.
In emergency, I'm going to make my own moves.
I hope that I've made you comfortable with the communication I have had to you, updating you on different things that have occurred across the county along the way, so that you can expect that same, probably just amplified a little bit. So.
And you have experience with some things Seton has laid out on the heat and the mass casualties of cows dying and the impacts to the county on that and what it means. And we go through that a lot.
The cows dying, I'm going to rely on some subject matter expertise on the back end of it.
There's a book in your office.
Okay.
We wrote the book.
Okay, well, come on by and we'll rehash it. That's fine. Okay. But no, as far as that's concerned, I will reach out to the subject matter experts. I'll get my education, obviously, as we're moving forward on stuff. I don't like being caught behind the 8 ball, just like you suggest with Y2K. You'd be shocked at the depth on that. In San Bernardino County, we actually had resources stood up at State Line, Nevada, Baker, all these different things, because we were convinced that the world was going to implode. So I get it. My job, again, should it be chosen to go this direction, is to not just have our best interest at heart, but also collaborate across the lines and actually have the foresight to be able to bring those things back to you in advance so that we can be pre-planned for anything that could potentially impact us.
And then lastly, CO Martinez, does this impact you where you're looked at to be second in command during emergency, where you're trying to operate the county, or who is second?
No, it's not an issue. When we were running the incident command for the floods, I was already the incident commander at the time. And, some of our department heads filled those roles as well. So it's just part of our duties. We take on the roles when it is an incident command is activated, and we all step in. All department heads did.
Saw that. But is there officially a second in command behind the chief for this ordinance?
Yes, it's me.
It's going to be.
The only thing we'd probably have to revisit would be, and it doesn't really change anything, would be direction related to purchasing authority, different stuff like that. And that's just rehash that a little bit. We got a revamp on the purchasing policy coming anyway. So I think you could probably incorporate that into it, but it's not going to be, I'm not planning on signing anything. Obviously, it goes up the standard county chain.
After CEO Martinez, is it the sheriff, or does the sheriff have an active role that's outlined?
That's the 2 for right now.
Correct. That's how it's identified in the ordinance.
And I think the incident commander on that, it depends. It's going to be depending on, just like Y2K, just like 9/11. There was a set of protocols, and so you're going to have different individuals doing different roles that have the subject matter expertise to be able to handle that. So whether it's animal mortality, insecticide, pesticide, some kind of poisoning. We did a lot of work with cyber type domestic terrorism. And there's, all of those books exist in the fire department because we wrote them all. So they're there. The bad part is you never know when the next one's going to be that you're going to have to write another check. Because every one of them is different.
And to put it in perspective of your question about incident commander, specific to the incident that's actually ongoing, that's driving the activation of the EOC, that incident command still remains in place.
Right.
Typically, the EOC is going to be activated to support whatever needs logistically they're going to need and collaborate to make those efforts happen. Also tracking administratively for cost recovery. If you do get a disaster declaration, that's how you're going to get all your revenue back into the system. But you never supersede the incident command structure that's actually on scene dealing with it, unless it's some type of long-term strategic issue.
All right, so I have a motion and I have a second. Madam Clerk, you want to call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Yes.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robbins.
Yes.
Robert Bear.
Yes. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Hello again, Mr. Boyette.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, again, Matthew Boyette, Assistant CEO. So, mid-December, before we all left for our closure, I was actually before your board to give you an update on our campus remodel project that would include the rehabilitation of our 3 vacant buildings here that the courts no longer occupy, that we now own, that have sat vacant for many, many years. At the tail end of that presentation, I had let you guys know that early in this calendar year, we would be bringing before your board, identifying, possible upfront capital that we could use to buy down debt for that project. So with that, I'm just going to provide a little update on some financial information from 2 joint powers authorities, or JPAs, that we are members of. So with that, the first JPA that I want to discuss is the California Public Finance Authority JPA, or CalPFA. That was established in 2015 as a JPA between our county and the Kings County Housing Authority. That was developed to promote economic and community development opportunities to create permanent jobs and affordable housing. And similarly, a few years later in 2019, the California Community Housing Agency, or CalCHA, was formed again as a JPA between the county and the Kings County Housing Authority to issue government purpose bonds to support low income and middle income housing for families. So the bonds that are issued by these JPAs, they're not secured by obligations of any member of the JPA, and they're not secured by any sort of taxing authority of the JPAs. They're solely secured based on the revenue generated for the projects in which they are received for. So in this instance, it would be like rental income and things like that is what secures the actual bond for these projects. So both of our JPAs that we are members of, both CalPFA and CalCHA, we contract with GPM Municipal Advisors. They kind of handle all of our day-to-day activities for our role in both of those JPAs. They provide consulting, strategic advisory, program management services, and the issuance and the overseeing of the bonds that both JPAs handled. They also do the billing and collection of all of our admin fees that is collected on the bond admin fees I believe it's every 6 months or so. And then they'll also manage any and all audits and reporting that is required out of those 2 JPAs. So there is a fee structure that the JPAs do collect in the process of issuing bonds. And so I'll go over those now with you. So there's issuance fees that both JPAs have a percentage of. So of all the issuance fees collected, each JPA, both CalPFA and CalCHA, depending on which JPA has the project there, the issuance fees there is 33.25% go to the respective JPA. On the annual admin fees for CalPFA, for all housing projects, their annual admin fee is 25% of that fee. And then for non-housing projects is 28%. And then for CalCHA, of all the admin fees collected for the CalCHA projects, CalCHA gets 23.75%. So based on all of the bond activity of annual admin and management fees of those bonds. All of that money has been pooled together at both JPAs ever since inception of the JPAs, and to my knowledge, hasn't been touched and have just been accumulating year over year. So with that, the balances in the JPA's funds for the respective JPAs here as of December 31st of 2025 are as follows. So Cal PFA had a balance of $2,259,016. And CalCHA had a balance of $4,506,925. So if you combine, for a combination of balances there at both JPAs is $6,765,941. So again, just to reiterate, I was, before your board, December, outlining, what our plans are to address any financing opportunities that we have for that courthouse remodel project. So I'm just bringing this information forward before your board to see what questions, comments, concerns, and or direction that you have in regards to our membership in these two JPAs. And just as a reminder, Cal PFA and CalCHA are separate. They're two separate legal entities from the county. So any wishes or direction that your board has for staff, that doesn't automatically authorize any use of that funding. Staff would essentially still have to go back to both of those respective JPAs and seek formal approval on their end as well. So just wanted to give that to you guys as well. So with that, that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and thank you very much.
So Matt, with the courthouse remodel project, is that a $40 million project?
Roughly, yes.
Roughly, yeah. And so one of the options on the table is to take the money and to buy it down, right? To apply it towards that 40 million to knock off what we would have to finance. Is that one of the options?
If both of the JPAs approve of such, that would be available.
I see. And depending on what kind of a rate we got, what kind of a term, if we were to, let's say, do that, you potentially could save in interest the amount that you're actually, so if you're paying down $6.7 million, you potentially could save that or possibly a little more depending on the rate and the term. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, what questions do we have for Matt? Supervisor Valen?
Thank you. Again, going back to 2015 when we formed this, it was an uphill climb to get here. There's people around the state who didn't want us to have this. It was political, and the former CEO Larry Spikes, this was something that he brought to the board, and it was at a time. I know that I was looking for a lot of funding for things like curb gutter, sidewalk, and Kettleman City. Priority, something that I've been very vocal about since I got seated here in 2009. One of the things that he said that got my yes vote to form this was that these monies that you're talking about were going to be for the community. One of the things I already spoke about many times prior to us forming this was that the beautification of this government center was made through millions of dollars out of the hazardous waste tax revenue that comes out of Kettleman City, and the lack of that money going back to that community, and which is why when I was elected, there was zero curb gutter and sidewalk there. Now, we've made progress on that, and we have a commitment from the board, and I'm very happy about and appreciative to that. And so as the board has come around and with the leadership of CEO Martinez and financing options, I feel better about the fact that the board is looking at the small rural communities and especially Kettleman City. And so even though the commitment at the time was that these monies were going to be, again, I wish we had the minutes here, or you pointed it, or it would have been put in the staff report. The intention of these funds was to go into community projects. So when a guy like me asks for money for curb gutter and sidewalks, and there's going to be an issue with that out of the general fund, this was a pot of money to go do it with. Okay, again, the board fast forwarded the day, different board members, and And I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm saying all that to say this. I could be supportive of using some of these funds to work on this much needed project. It is a priority, and I think it will benefit the community at large. But what I want to ask the board and the CEO to put in language for all the boards to consider is that we still take millions of these dollars and we divide it up into 5 equal pots of funding for each board member. And that's monies that we have for each of our districts for projects that come up. Especially these districts with small rural communities in them that typically aren't at the forefront of the county budget or county priorities. That's the intention of these monies. To change in the direction of using 100% of this money would be unethical, would go against the integrity of what these boards were even built on and founded on. And so I could be open-minded to use some of these monies to help, because it's no secret that it has to be done. We didn't ask for some of these buildings to be our problem, but I like the ideas that we have to use them. I could be supportive, but we have to figure out a way to set aside these monies for the intention, the purposes. It was these couch was originally founded from.
A question for CEO Martinez. So we did reach out to Larry Spikes, did we not?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did last week.
And what did he have to say about the original intent?
The original intent of these monies were at the discretion of what the Board of Supervisors would like to do with whatever the Board of Supervisors would like to do with those monies.
I don't care what he said today. I'm telling you what he said that day. With all due respect, Mr. Chair. That's what he said in these chambers, sitting in that chair like that. We can pull the recording for the next time it comes out. You know, but I give a damn what was said today. I know what was said to get my vote. And so, again, I'd like to see something for the board to vote on. I don't know what those amounts would be. I would ask staff to figure that out, how much you need for this project, how much is left over, and something that's not outrageous, you know. When you talk about discretionary funds, that would still get voted on, but if the chairman came with his own pot of money for a project in Armona, then I would assume the board would formally vote 5-0 and not, it wouldn't be an issue because it's his pot of money for something that's important with him in his district. I know Fresno City Council, their council members, just that city council member, there's an allocation every year out of the budget. I don't know what that amount is, but maybe we can find that out and put together something to present. So it's not just me talking about it.
Thank you, Supervisor Valley. Supervisor Verboen.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a big task we did. I met with Scott Harper, and we went to the golf course multiple times to discuss how we can get this done and what we can do. I know that talk about funding for each district. I think the best way to spend the money is on the county campus because the health department, JTO, that is the whole county and altogether, and it benefits everybody equally, not just one specific district. I know I don't ask for money for my district for specifically just for me. I want to take care of the whole county equally. So I would like to see it go towards bringing those buildings back into use before we lose them. This help with the offset some of that cost. I know we tried one deal was looking to give the property to somebody else, and that would be over $66 million to do that. Plus we lost control of the building, so we're down now to in the 40 million over some time. I think we can ease that down a little bit and use some of that money. I really don't want to see. I think Kettleman City has had a lot of money given to them, and I'm not taking away, but this is a separate pot of money. I think we should do equally for all the county, and so I've always been supportive of the curb gutters and sidewalks and home gardens and that project. But I think now it's really we need to focus on this campus for the future before we lose those buildings. And we saw what happened to the health department. It went vacant for less than a year, and that probably almost 2 years now, a year and a half.
2 years in March.
They just
to remind you.
just stripped it. And so It's like I got a friend that had a building and they just destroyed the whole building, 14,000 square feet, and homeless went in there and took all the wire out of it, and all the copper out of the air conditioner. So I say this focused on the campus here in the future, and we'll continue to get money in for this from the two JK boards, but JK, right? And build from that. I don't say just throw it all in one pot, but just help alleviate some of the pressure. We're going to have change orders. We're going to have things we don't expect. So it's nice to have a little bit of money in savings to cover those costs. Thank you.
Thanks, Supervisor Verboen. Supervisor Hill.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the discussion, Super Boone, and I do appreciate your past supporting the vote for the bridge and Kirk Gutter Sidewalk in Kelman City. But as we're seeing here today too, with the change of and the broadband, but what we're seeing with change orders here too is the need for more money, and even as we move forward with the bridge project in Kelman City, I think there's an expectation that there's going to be a lot more money needed for that bridge due to what's taken place over the last years with inflation, tariffs, everything that's made these projects to skyrocket. And again, to be open-minded, what I'm asking and shouldn't even be having to ask is a balance of the use of these monies. It's hard to hear 100% of these monies going into the beautification of the county government center based on past history. And so which removes blight, which is, in my opinion, beautification. But the word that I think we all agree on is that it's an investment in the county. And so one of the things that I learned here in 2009, when I learned about this hazardous waste tax revenue that the county gets, and the fact that it's coming out of waste management, out of Kelman City, and the intent of that revenue to get a spreadsheet of that money and see every year prior to me being here that the total that the county received was $40 million in hazardous waste tax revenue. And when I asked in 2009, out of that $40 million, how much of that money got reinvested in Kelman City? And the CEO, Larry Spike, said zero. And so it's hard for me to fast forward to today to support an idea of, again, taking this $6 million that I was a part of too, in votes, and part of my time here on the board, on this board, of 100% of it only being used for the county government center. Again, I can meet something in the middle. I'd ask that the CEO or the director of that board put some numbers together so we can have a visual to have a good open-minded discussion instead of just, trying to seal each other off here today on the dais. Let's just have a gentleman talk. Thanks, Superman.
Thank you, Supervisor Valley. Any other questions or comments?
The only comment, Mr. Chair, is that I think even when you look at the health department buildings that are almost 70 years old and there wasn't any building replacement set aside, I think we really need to set up for an enterprise account that will set money aside in the future to be able to rebuild those structures. We have an aging infrastructure of fire department houses around the county that are getting close to 40 and 50 years old now. Some of them older than that when you go to Hardwick. And there's no fund set aside for building improvement or building replacement. So I think while we go through this exercise, we should also look at setting up an enterprise account. When I go into a small district, I'm just astounded that you have a water system and you have a distribution system and you have a sewer plant and you have a sewer collection system and you have no money at all for replacement, as some of that infrastructure is getting 40, 50, and 60 years old. And so I think part of the discussion has to be with some of these departments to be able to, part of their budget has to be gone through to do building replacement and building upgrades. The county built a lot of fire stations that are still in service today. But we're going to have to start thinking a little bit more and thinking more like private business. And that means enterprise accounts and start setting up funds to be able to replace those infrastructure.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Neves. Anything else? No? Yeah, as I see it, the best, if you want to say bang for your buck, but the best investment strategy that I could see is to pay down the debt. Because for every dollar you pay down, you potentially save that in interest. And so, so you're looking at potentially a net savings of 6.7 million or more. In regards to the, as I guess I would call it, a slush fund, this board has been very.
Isn't that a slush fund? Okay, with taxpayer dollars,
So
that's against the law, sir.
okay, my apologies for the terminology, but let me just state an individual account for each supervisor, whatever that figure is. I think this board has been very fair to Armona, and I'm grateful for that. I don't think that I need an individual account to be able to service Armona. I think that I have to take a look at the broader picture and see what is the best use of the public money that I can find. And to me, the best use is to pay down the debt so that we can save that amount of money. All right. Any other questions or comments from supervisor? Any other questions from the public? All right. I will entertain a motion.
Actually, it's a study
Oh, it's a-
session.
yes.
So the intent was that your board would have a discussion and kind of guide us into these options we would bring forward, because the next time we would reconvene in the next few weeks, we would actually bring recommendations that your board would vote on.
Okay.
So I'm hearing that, Supervisor Verboen indicated portions of it go to the courthouse, and what amount supervisor wants a different amount. We're not really getting any amounts that, your board would like us to look at. One of the options would be to use the full amount to transfer to the project. So just wanted to get any additional consensus from the board on any other options.
How about, Mr. Chairman, how about,
Because right now I have two options.
no, and I know that's just, how about we just ask staff to put together some percentage scenarios where 20% of this money would go towards community projects, or 30 or 40 or 50, something that we can look at and visualize and have a discussion about.
Is there any other appetite for that? Supervisor Thayer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to like the Valley saying, to take a portion, maybe not 100% of it to whatever this future building project is, but so I'm fine. I don't know. I divided it by 5 and it's like 1.3 per district, if that's the direction you went, and then I don't know, some percentage out of there. Because I agree too that I'm not a big fan of paying interest, on big projects, and this $40 million project is going to be significant amount of interest payment, and so to pay down that debt to the best of our ability, I think is wise. But again, I'm not opposed to kicking out a little bit for whatever community projects any one of the 5 of us up there have going on in the district.
Thanks, Sue. And I want to put, again, based on the board's support recently, I'm not asking for a 100% division of it. Asking for a percentage of it. So if we give staff direction, one, they could bring back what it looks like if we use 100% for the courthouse. They could bring back another scenario for us to look at where 20%, 30, 40 gets divided, and then the 6% goes to the courthouse. I'm in support of some of this money from the courthouse, but I also can't just step back from the original intention that was given to the board here in these chambers. I know you weren't here at the time. I was, and I heard it, and that's how I came to a yes vote. We had a vote to form this group. This wasn't just handed to us like a lot of committees are. We had a vote to do this, and there was opposition to the county doing this.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. So hopefully staff has some direction. I think part of the direction would be is to see if we were to pay the whole thing down, what the savings would actually be. I realize that depends on the term of the loan. I realize it depends on the interest rate that we're charged, but something realistic, or maybe 2 or 3 different options there. And then also to take a look at what Supervisor Valley and Supervisor Thayer are speaking of as another scenario where a percentage, we would take a look at a percentage for supervisors. Is that accurate? Does that give proper direction?
Yeah.
Maybe we look at a percentage of how much money we get with something like that.
No, I misunderstood. So when you were talking about an enterprise, what would that be with this sum of money, or would that be looking at their existing budgets and seeing how that money was pertinent?
Be both. That way, because this JPAs have that money and you can borrow it.
Okay.
But you pay it back. And there's a lot of times I had to take money out of the water account to help the sewer account. But once we did that, then you paid the water account back.
Okay.
So you can either set it up as a rolling capital fund or an enterprise type account because I like things separated. I like things to keep things separated. And so whether it's, the tenant improvements for the structures or just getting those structures up to a point for the tenant improvements for the department to move in, I would like to see that division take place because getting those structures up to a inhabitable state for us to use currently is one set of money that we should save because that interest is going to compound a whole lot more because the tenant improvements and the new stuff and everything that it takes to move those departments into that is a consumable that you're going to have to do every 5-6 years, a computer every 4. So I don't like using long-term money for short-term projects. So I think that project could be divided up into fixed assets and consumables and make sure that we invest in the long term.
Okay.
Rather than the short term, because we need to keep up with our technology. And I think IT, and even though everybody hates the fees, but that's what funds that refresh program to be able to get computers every 4 or 5 years. And so I'm not sure I want to use money on that to purchase those kind of assets that are short term and not long.
Okay. So in short, both. And so part of this money. So if we could take a look at that as an option as Supervisor.
So I know the sheriff he created a foundation years ago. Would that be a possibility? Can we look into that as well? That way we can make some interest on it, keep it somewhere where it's our money in our own account that we have control over. So, and my deal still stands the same. I just think, if you don't take care of what does your business every day, if you don't take care of it, pretty soon you don't have anything. So, and we kind of let these buildings go too far. We also got $3 million for new fire headquarters. We need to find some more money for that. I'm not saying use this money for it, but there might be a time we need to offset, fill in the balance or something. So same with what Joe said, I agree with that. I know when it comes to I'm thinking back in my community, when the only time I needed any money was when the Hardwick water well went out. It's not my water well, it's not the county's water well, it's a private water well. It was $2.5 million. Even if we divided, it wouldn't cover that. And then we get nothing in return for doing that because they collect the money to manage it and they were mismanaged. We had no control. So I just, sometimes the community will take care of their own stuff first and we can assist them. But once we do it all, then they kind of get lazy and they don't take care of it. So just like the Hardwick water well, it's the only one I can compare with in my district, because it didn't run out of water. It just wasn't maintained and just finally broke and it broke where they couldn't fix it. So then it took a year to find the funding to get it done. And we got it done. It's just that if we'd have done it with our money, it would have taken a lot of money. They'd have taken advantage of it. We would have got nothing in return. But then they had water well and they would collect money to pay themselves. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
I know we have had to do that a couple of times. And again, history, Short Acres, to be able to get annexed into the city, Rancho Water District, we've had to invest money in there to get that distribution and collection system up to where the city would take it. So we have had projects like that needed the fixed assets to be able to bring those.
Mid Kings is until we get to 18, we gotta. fill.
Correct. You got to fund that one. So
That's only a small district. That's not the whole county. So we gotta be careful there too.
correct. But we have done small
We can
areas
repay
with
for that.
El Rancho and with Short Acre.
Supervisor. Mr. Chairman, I'm always passionate about investing in communities. That's just the face of my district and the need for it. And I feel it's pretty similar to your district. When you look at the demographics of District 2 and the district that you represent, there's always a need in both of our districts there. I'll go on to say that the timing of this discussion today probably didn't help with the fact, and I didn't want to put this out there because I don't want anyone to panic or go around and spread this word, but Chuck Kenny knows what I'm about to say. Last week, after a long day here and the ups and downs of the meetings last week, I leave here at his summons to get some bad news that a project we've already celebrated and I've announced and had multiple town hall meetings on in Kettleman City about pedestrian bridge, that the price tag of that just jumped up $4 million. Where the hell are we going to get that money at? I've already been in the well of the state budget 2 times to get that money. I know I can't come back here. You've been a no vote on a project every time it comes up. So now I'm looking at 4 votes to possibly at best. And I don't want to come back here. I know the reality of this budget. And so monies like this, I've been asking the CEO about this money. I've brought it up multiple times throughout the years. Can we get a tally of this money that's building up? Okay, I recently learned how much money we have, 6 million. That's a lot. We've done a lot of good work together. So again, that need is going to be there all the time. It's not just a community calling to say, hey, will you guys fund this? It would be a pot of money that I could go to and say, well, I know under District 2, there's X amount of dollars. I'd like to bring it to the board to formalize, move it over the bridge. Okay. Now we're hoping that there is a miscommunication between Caltrans and the county, and that 4 million is not accurate. So please don't put that out there. This is a public meeting. I know it's going to spread, but I haven't reported it out because I'm hopeful that that is just not going to be true. Hopefully. And then, so again, that plays into, my part of my thinking. The beauty of it is Kings County is beautiful from the north to south to east to the west. But the reality is we all represent different districts for a reason, and not all our districts are the same when it comes to, wealth, resources, local resources, cities who help fund projects within our districts as well. Reality is you and I represent some of the poorest parts of this county, and we got a job to do, and that's what people look to us to do. And this is a mechanism to do it, and it was presented as a mechanism to do it, and to reverse course on that. The reason why it's easy to say that is because when we were told that and the day we formed that, there was nobody in these chairs. People probably didn't even know we was meeting because it was brand new, even though it was agendized, but there wasn't a cell in this room when we were told that about these monies. And so I'm going to represent that all the way, because that and the words aren't going to just magically disappear.
Thank you, sir. And my rationale is simple. If you're going to spend $6.7 million and you save $6.7 million, it's 100% return on investment. So I'll leave you with that. This is a study session. Staff has direction, I presume?
Correct.
Very good. Any other comments from the public? Okay.
You get all those notes, Veronica? You get all written down?
All right, we'll get on to supervisor comments. Supervisor Neff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kings Waste and Recycling held a meeting on the 28th of January. Robert was voted as chair, Jerry as vice chair, and all the reports were reviewed and approved. Housing Authority reorganization also took place on the 28th, with Robert voted as chair, and I was selected as vice chair. Operations of the Housing Authority were also reviewed, and delinquent accounts were discussed and approved. The Kings Area Public Transit Agency, or CART, held its first meeting of 2026 with an update from the Office of Emergency Services. We kind of thank them for that, because I think that connection and that gives us some meeting. A public hearing was also held to discuss route changes to include the new transit hub that should be open. I'm thinking of next Monday or the second week in February, sometime in between. We also approved the annual audit, approved the completion of the park and ride, which is north of the transit center. We talked about public electric vehicle charging rates. So we have some chargers in there, and that was up for discussion. So that was approved. And then we did approve and discussed and approved the audiovisual equipment for the board chambers, including cameras around that new transit center. The Kings County Association of Governments held their first meeting on the 28th also. The MOU with KCAG and the Caltrans was discussed and approved, and also selected Bob Murray and Associates to conduct the executive director position on behalf of KCAG. And they're thinking, 140 days, 180 days. Seems awful quick, but we'll see what happens. On Friday, attended the J.C. Montgomery Career Tech Educational Advisory and discussed work-based learning pathways for students at J.C. Montgomery. Alex already talked about the Lemoore Chamber, and I just want to again highlight the Soledad Perez as the Public Safety Golden Nest Food and Needs Center of Lemoore College, and G.V. Burrows as the business, and Patricia Matthews as the Citizen of the Year. It was a nice event. Continue to announce basketball at Lemoore College. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Neves. Supervisor Stair.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be brief, Mr. Chair. As Sue Neves said, January 28th, Wednesday, the Kings Waste Recycle. I'm moving up in the world. I'm now chair of that board. And immediately followed that at the Housing Authority. And then Thursday, along with the miracle worker on this dais, Supervisor Burboon, we had some great news. He can say it, for our employee appreciation kickoff meeting that we had. And then Thursday, shout out to Wendy Osakafa and her leadership over at HSA. We had a big budget presentation. I know that you were there too, Supervisor Robinson, and just the numbers on that board and the presentation just makes your eyes go blurry. And it's such a complicated process and staying within state and federal guidelines, and it's just mind-numbing to watch it and watch it as successful as it can with all the challenges that are coming from both the state and federal governments. But did that Thursday. It was a great second time I've done it. Every time I've been there, I learned something new, and just thank her for her time in doing that. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Thayer. Supervisor Val.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I get into a couple of things, one, I want to take this time to see if we could look at adding more time for public comment. Prior to the pandemic, unscheduled appearances were 5 minutes were allowed. And it went on all the way until the pandemic hit. For some reason, we dropped it down to 2 minutes. I think we should look at least going back to a 3-minute mark. 2 minutes is not enough time for people who make the drive to come here and to speak. And I don't like when we cut people off right when that time expires. I'm not just talking about anything here. I'm talking about when I go to other meetings, especially in Avenel, it's got really bad where it just comes off as very rude. And I know that's not your intent as you do that. Matter of fact, the clerk used to be who would monitor. If someone's going past 2 minutes, we just let them wrap up. Give them a couple extra seconds, but people spend a lot of time and gas to be here. So maybe 3 minutes is a good pocket of time where people can get what they need to say to the board. Thanks for considering that. Tomorrow morning, first Wednesday of the month, as I said before, be on the Great Day Morning Show, KMPH. And I'm still looking for positive things to talk about from all of us. And so if you have something, please send it to the clerks. Catherine can fund it to me, but I'm getting tired of talking about Avenel. here on these segments. And so I'm looking for something positive. So if you have something, please send it to me. I'd love to highlight your community, something going on. That goes for everybody except the grand jury. No, I'm just playing. And then tomorrow morning, 7:30, and we'll do the segment. And then lastly, next Wednesday, I'm asking people we can please be out here February 11th at 11 a.m. We're going to have the unveiling of the sign that's going to go on Highway 198 from Army Specialist Covarrubias. And so we have a little committee working together. We're going to have the flyer done today. We got about 90% done yesterday. So I think we're going to get that flyer posted out today, and would ask for your help and let the community know and see if we can get a nice crowd here for the family on that day. It'll be a very quick, short, brief ceremony, maybe like 20 minutes. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Supervisor.
Okay, thank you very much. Thursday was my first barbecue committee meeting. And so made a couple phone calls. We were able to get all the meat donated by Central Valley Meat Company. A very generous deal as the meat prices climb every day. They said it's been a struggle for them, but they honored us and said they take care of us 100%. So we're going to send a letter out, try to get some more costs covered with the sodas and stuff like that. So we're forming a letter right now to send out. And then also Thursday met with the new CEO for Amtrak Gold Runner, which is Chris Orlando. Came down and spent a few minutes with me to understand what we need here in the community. And then Friday evening, Lemoore Chamber dinner. So had a good time with that. It kind of went away for a few years. Last year, I was at the farm show and Brenda Martin gave me a ride in a golf cart and said she was going to take it over. And so she had 3 things that she wanted to get done. She wanted to make sure we had a Salute to Ag dinner. She wanted to make sure that we had a Christmas parade, and she wanted to make sure that we had a citizen awards banquet. And she passed away on Tuesday. So the event was basically in her honor. So a shout out to Brenda Martin for her ideas and bringing it back after it got lost. So that's a big deal. Then I traveled down to one of my car shows I go to every year, and then on to Phoenix to see my mother, and then home last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Verboen. Yeah, in response to Supervisor Valley's comments about the time at the podium, if supervisors have an appetite for that, I'm okay with it as well with the 3 minutes. I know a lot of supervisors throughout the state. That's what they allow at their meetings. A lot of counties. That being said, we're trying to be fair and consistent for everybody. It's not personal. And so as we approach the 2-minute mark at this point, well, that's the rule. I'm going to continue to remind people, but if we change the rule to 3 minutes, I'll do the same thing. That way it's just consistent for everybody. Otherwise, I have to allow more time for everybody. So, all right. Last Wednesday, attended Housing Authority with supervisors and weekly agenda review with staff. Thursday, attended public health staff meeting at Lemoore College with CEO Martinez and Assistant CEO Boyette. They discussed policy updates, staff accountability for excellence, and the new public health facility, which should be ready in about 2028. Cross our fingers. We had games for bonding, which I learned Matthew ran with the bulls and got tossed in the ocean by the bulls. And you have a video of that? Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's confirmed. Anyway, CEO Martinez did a great job giving an overview of the county. Later that afternoon, attended a budget presentation with Supervisor Thayer by Director Wendy Osakafa on the Human Services Agency with staff. She explained her budget in detail, and as was said, very complicated budget, and also the additional costs that will be passed to the county through recent legislation. She continues to work through her budget to try and offset those expenses, which we greatly appreciate. Friday, attended Tom Martella's celebration of life at the Fraternal Hall. My condolences to Shirley and the entire Martella family for their loss. Tom was a kind and hardworking man. Later that day, attended the Honor Roll Assembly at Hanford Christian School with my wife and son. So congratulations to them for their devoted hard work every day. So that's all I have. All right.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the board received correspondence dated January 22nd regarding the response to Santa Fe Partners requests for the board's intervention in the election for the Tulare Lake Reclamation District. The board received notice of cease and desist from Talisha Hartley on some, which was received on January 29th, 2026. The board received copies of two separate court pleadings in the case of Federal Ag Mortgage Corporation versus the Semi Brothers. The first motion is to approve the disbursement of proceeds. Both documents were received on February 2nd. And for upcoming events, Kings County Library will have its family game time at the Stratford branch tomorrow, Wednesday, February 4th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Kings County Behavioral Health will host its survivor of suicide loss support group tomorrow, Wednesday, February 4th at 5:30 here on campus. Kings County, in partnership with the California Central Blood Center, will be hosting a blood drive on February 11th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. here on campus. Signups can be done online, or you can walk up as well. The Kings County Clerk Recorder's Office provides weddings ceremonies to residents every Thursday by appointment only. This year, Valentine's Day lands on Saturday, February 14th, and the Clerk Recorder's Office will be open by appointment only to offer special Valentine's Day marriage ceremonies. Appointments are limited, so please call a Clerk Recorder's Office to schedule. For upcoming event agenda items, the following agenda items are for February 17th. Board meeting for February 10th is canceled. Administration has one item on federal earmark request. Child support has an item regarding the 2025-2026 reallocation for a budget increase request. Community development has two items: the monthly reporting from the Planning Commission, actions, and update to the Kings County First Time Home Buyer Program guidelines. Health has two items: accepting funds for the Kings County Community Health Improvement Plan activities and carry forward of public health emergency preparedness grant funding for the past 2 years. Library has one item on a donation. Public Works has two items on a roadway sign audit project, notice of completion, and highway safety improvements program cycle 11 safety improvement project. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board has 3 items for closed session today. Item 1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 1 case. Item 2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Rosas v. County of Kings. And item 3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Mendez v. Corcoran Branch Library. I'll turn it back to you for public comment.
Do we have any public comments at this time? Very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn into closed session. We will be back at 11 o'clock or thereabouts for the California Community Housing Agency. Okay. So we're adjourned. Thank you.